Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Casio G-Shock GA-2100-1AER CasiOak. This watch is available from amazon.co.uk for £72 British, which is €85. The original Casio G-Shock was designed by Kikuo IB in 1983. That was the reference DW5600C. 4 years ago I reviewed the descendant of that piece, the DW5600-1VR. In 2019, Casio released this version of the G-Shock, which has been nicknamed the CasiOak. It's nicknamed CasiOak due to its similarity to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, which has a similar octagonal bezel. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in this G-Shock branded cardboard box. One removes the cardboard sleeve from the cardboard base, and as you can see in the base we have another piece of cardboard which is moulded, and the watch sits on a piece of cardboard which is folded into a roll, as you can see. Now I'm going to be critical of this because previously, 4 years ago, I reviewed another G-Shock, the DW5600-1VR, and that came in a G-Shock branded metal tin, which was aesthetically pleasing and very good quality. This is a clear cost-cutting measure by Casio, so as you can see, they've moulded this piece of cardboard into a cutout and it's branded with G-Shock, and that sits inside this base, which is a cardboard box. Now Casio could argue this is environmentally friendly because it's made from entirely sustainable material, cardboard. But however, I would argue that it's a clear cost-cutting measure in order to maximise profit margin per piece, because the G-Shock metal tins were more aesthetically pleasing, more durable, and again one could argue that metal is recyclable, therefore it's sustainable and an environmentally friendly material. So, with regards to the other items, the watch comes inside this fabric bag, which does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any scuffs and scratches. And one also gets this owner's instruction manual, which is for the Casio module number 5611. The owner's instruction manual is translated into English and a plethora of foreign languages, clear concise diagrams, and it details the operation of the module number 5611, which is an analog digital module. One also gets this warranty booklet, and it again is translated into English and a plethora of foreign languages, and it details the terms and conditions of the 12-month international warranty. In addition to that, one also gets this cardboard warranty card, and on the reverse there's space to fill in the model number, date of purchase, customer's name and the official dealer stamp. Now if you purchase the piece from Amazon, they do not stamp and fill in the warranty card, but however I'm pleased to report that the warranty is activated for 12 months from the date of purchase on Amazon. One also gets this fold-out leaflet, and it's Casio's advice on disposal of waste electrical and electronic equipment, because the module number 5611 is powered by a battery, which is therefore electronic waste if you dispose of it. And lastly, one also gets this G-Shock card tag, and it details the features of this piece, which is the CasiOak GA-2100-1AER, such as the carbon core guard, because the case is made from moulded carbon fibre and resin. It's shock resistant, 20 bar water resistant, double LED lights for the backlight, 100th second stopwatch, world time, daily alarm and timer. On the reverse we also have the full reference number of the piece and the module number 5611, as well as the barcode and the reference number. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 45.3mm case diameter, and that's measured from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We have a 48.2mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 11.7mm and a lug width of 16mm. The resin strap tapers from 25.6mm at the lugs down to 18.6mm at the buckle and tang. Solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and tang, brush satin finish, beautiful lustre to it, and the edges are mirror polished to deburr and chamfer them. No sharp edges, nice heavy gauge to the stainless steel buckle and tang, but however it's sterile and unsigned, and I'm going to be critical of it because at this price point, €85, one does see signed buckles in the low tier. I think Casio could update this and further enhance it, make it more aesthetically pleasing by engraving G-Shock on the buckle, because there is enough space on it. But correctly proportioned, nice heavy gauge, it's durable and robust without having any sharp edges or corners, so the finishing is very good. We have a flat mineral crystal. Now, I'm going to be critical of this. Yes, it's good. It's beneficial they did not use the cost-cutting measure of acrylic crystal as per Casio digital watches. Mineral crystal really is a compromise between acrylic, which is soft, and sapphire crystal, which is hard and more scratch resistant. But it's a cost-cutting measure in order to maximise profit margin per piece. The negative of this mineral crystal is, as you can see, when I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, there is a lot of glare and it is highly reflective because there is no AR coating on the underside. I would like to see Casio update this to using sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside, because that would reduce the glare and the highly reflective nature of the flat mineral crystal, as you can see. So it is beneficial. It's not acrylic, which is softer and therefore more prone to being scuffed and scratched, but it's not as hard and scratch resistant as sapphire crystal. Mineral crystal really is a compromise. With regards to the dial layout, this is an analog digital watch, so we have an hour and minute hand for the analog display. We've also got a day indicator at the 9 o'clock position and a screen at the 4 o'clock position, which is an LCD negative display, and this details the display for the stopwatch, alarm, perpetual calendar, world time and countdown timer respectively. The problem with sighting the negative LCD display at the 4 o'clock position is often, as you can see now, it's partially obscured by the hour and minute hand, but that's just a characteristic of anodigi or analog digital watches, because you have an hour and minute hand which are large, and of course they sometimes obscure the vision of the screen at the 4 o'clock position. And the other problem with it is it's a negative display. Now I appreciate it does fit the aesthetics of this watch being black. It's got a matte black dial and the resin case and bezel of course are all black, but the display really would look better. The legibility, the functionality of it would be better if it were a grey coloured LCD screen with black digital numerals, as per the convention for digital watches, for example. By having a negative display, aesthetically it does look nice because it matches the black day display and also it matches the black matte dial, but the problem is the legibility is poor as a result, and it's compounded by the lack of AR coating, because when you tilt the piece at an oblique angle you can see it's like a mirror, it's highly reflective, and by having a negative black display rather than a positive digital display, it makes it very hard to read. So the legibility, the functionality of this piece is diminished because of the lack of AR coating and also the black negative display. In terms of layout, I like it. The symmetry of the applied indices is good. They've got blocks which are 3D indices, but Casio have missed an opportunity because they haven't fully loomed the indices with Neo-Brights. Neo-Bright is just their proprietary name for Luminova. They could really enhance this piece if they loomed the analog hands, the hour and minute hand, and also the block applied indices with BGW9 blocks, or alternatively C3 blocks of Super Luminova. That would really make this stellar performance, and as I'll show you in the loom test, this is why it's a missed opportunity. They haven't fully loomed the dial and the handset with Super Luminova. They've simply used Neo-Bright, which is weak performing Luminova. Now, with regards to the pushers, they're solid stainless steel and they provide an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters, which is very impressive. And I want to give due credit to Casio here because it is an impressive achievement. Often with chronograph pieces, for example, the pushers can only provide an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters. And in order to attain 200 meters, one has to have screw-down collars on pushers. Alternatively, as per dive pieces, one needs a screw-down crown rather than a pushable crown. Generally speaking, 100 meters is the maximum hermetic seal one can get with a pushable crown or a pusher, but in order to have 200 meters, one needs a screw-down collar on the pusher or one needs a screw-down crown as per a dive piece. But Casio have managed to attain it with this G-Shock CasiOak. These pushers provide 200 meters of hermetic seal, which is very good. The other thing I really like about it, and again they deserve full credit for, is the screwed down case back, which is made from stainless steel and it's simply secured with 4 stainless steel screws, as you can see. Now again, pressed on case backs can provide 50 to 100 meters of hermetic seal, but in order to get 200 meters of hermetic seal, one usually needs a screwed down case back, or alternatively a screw down case back as per a dive piece. It's difficult to screw on a case back like this with 4 screws and attain 200 meters without making the case back very thick, because the deeper the hermetic seal to pressure resistant, in order that they need to make the case back thicker as a result. For example, a 200 meter case back is thicker than a 100 meter case back, but this case back is very thin. It's not a bubble back case back, it's a very flat case back and it's very thin stainless steel. But it still provides 200 meters of hermetic seal, and this is very impressive because it's only secured by 4 screws, not 6. And I think they deserve credit for it. It is a very good achievement. Now, you can see the case back is engraved with the reference number, specification, the module number. And they've also been honest about the origin of this piece. Japan movement and cased in China, because the module number 5611 is indeed made in Japan, but the watch itself is assembled in China and the module is cased in China. And Casio deserve credit because they haven't tried to disguise this as per low-tier Chinese brands, but they've been honest. The movement, or the module, is Japanese made, but the watch itself is made in China. So good to have all that on the case. Back also says carbon core guard, because the case itself is made from moulded carbon fibre mixed with resin. The benefit of the carbon core guard case: being made from carbon fibre and resin, it's lighter than solid resin, but it's also shock resistant, and it provides more shock resistant than just using resin. It protects the module number 5611 from impact damage, shock damage, which is good. So the bezel around the carbon core guard case, which is made from carbon fibre and resin, is secured with 4 stainless steel screws, as you can see. So easy to remove the bezel. If you want to modify this piece or exchange the bezel, you simply undo the 4 stainless steel screws. That removes the bezel from the carbon and resin case. And the resin strap is secured by quick release stainless steel spring bars. Now, the negative of this piece is comfort level. The feel-good factor is good. Visually, it looks aesthetically pleasing, but the comfort level is diminished by this stiff resin strap. On a positive note, it's correctly proportioned because it has an aggressive taper from 25.6 down to 18.6. So although it does have a small internal lug width of 16mm, you can use adapters which are made from steel or alternatively plastic, and therefore you can fit 22mm straps to it with adapters. But 16mm is okay because you can use adapters, but the aggressive taper is correctly proportioned from 25.6 down to 18.6. But the negative is comfort level. To put this into perspective, it feels exactly the same as the resin straps they use on their digital watches, even inexpensive ones such as the F91W, which is one of their least expensive pieces. This is a G-Shock. It's meant to be a premium version of a Casio piece, and therefore they should really use an FKM fluoro rubber strap because that would further enhance the comfort level of this piece. Problem with this resin strap is, yes, it is durable and robust. They last for a long length of time, but they're not as soft and supple as silicone rubber. FKM fluoro rubber would be the ideal choice because visually it would look similar to the resin, but it would be more soft and supple than this resin, and it would be more durable than silicone rubber. FKM fluoro rubber really would be a compromise between nitrile butadiene rubber or natural rubber and silicone rubber. Nitrile butadiene is harder and the most durable, and it's like natural rubber. And silicone rubber is softer. It's very soft and supple, but the negative is it's not durable. So FKM fluoro rubber really is a compromise between the two, nitrile butadiene and silicone respectively. This resin strap really does feel stiff. It's not comfortable. The other negative of it is the underside is textured rather than being smooth. So as you can see, it has these teeth on the underside. And the problem with that is they rub against the wrist. They could have really enhanced this had they made the underside of the resin strap smooth rather than having these teeth. The teeth do provide friction for the keeper to prevent it sliding out of position when on wrist, but they've put these teeth on the underside of the other side of the strap, and it doesn't need to have it because there is no keeper on this side. The buckle and tang engages on it, and they feel rough. They don't feel smooth against the wrist, and it is a stiff strap. On a positive note, it's heavily reinforced around the head of the piece end, which is an area that straps are prone to being splitting and cracking with regular use because they flex a lot here, and usually they're spring bars. So this has a heavily sprung loaded spring bar with a quick release lever, which is good, and that means it's easy to remove the strap if you want to fit an alternative strap. Alternatively, fit lug adapters if you want to fit 22mm straps, for example, rather than the 16mm lug width resin strap that comes on the piece. So it's robust, its long-term durability is good, but the problem is it's not comfortable. Buckle and tang is well made. There's one keeper which slides. They could enhance this by having 2 keepers, one fixed keeper, one sliding keeper, but this one does suffice. It's correctly proportioned, and I just think it's a shame because the head of the piece looks good, but the comfort level is diminished by the poor quality resin strap. And when I say poor quality, it's not poor quality in terms of durability, it's just comfort level is poor. So let's look at the pushers. Now, they're heavily sprung loaded. Now, I deliberately have not read the owner's instruction manual for this piece, and I haven't watched YouTube videos detailing how to use it. I deliberately didn't do that because I believe a watch should be intuitive, and what I mean by that is you should be able to immediately pick up a watch without ever having seen it before and immediately, intuitively use the complications. For example, 4 years ago when I previously reviewed another G-Shock, the GA-2100-1AER, that was an incredibly intuitive piece. I didn't read the owner's instruction manual, I didn't watch YouTube videos on how to use the complications, but I could pick that watch up and immediately set the date, set the time, use the stopwatch and all the complications of the piece. It was intuitive, it was a user-friendly piece. The problem with this G-Shock GA-2100 series, the CasiOak, is Casio have overcomplicated it with too many complications. So the benefit is it features a stopwatch, alarm, perpetual calendar, world time and countdown timer. It has a lot of complications, including a double LED backlight and also a day display. It sounds good in theory, but the reality is the menus are complicated to set. The other problem with it is it has two complications too many. This piece does not need a world timer, and it also does not need a perpetual calendar. The reality is the majority of Casio fanboys that purchase a CasiOak are never going to use a world time complication or a perpetual calendar. So, for example, we have 4 pushers and they're labelled on the bezel, which makes sense. Top left is adjust, lower left is mode, top right is light, and lower right is start, which is intuitive. So for example, if I press the mode on the bottom left, I can cycle through to the stopwatch, which is intuitive. So pressing the start indicates you start the stopwatch. Makes a nice beeping sound, the stopwatch begins to run. That's intuitive. Press the lower button again, which is the start, and that stops it. And then of course if you press adjust, that resets it to 0. That is intuitive. One doesn't need to read an owner's instruction manual or watch a YouTube video on how to use the stopwatch. That's how it should be. But for example, setting the time is complicated. If I press the top pusher for adjust, as you can see, it doesn't set the time because I've got to cycle through the menus or the complications to get to the time complication. Now when I press adjust to set the time, it should go into the time setting complication, but as you can see the minute and hour hand have moved and also the day complication has moved. So in order to set the time, one would have to read through the menu or alternatively watch a YouTube video in order to work out how to set the time when you're in the time setting complication. And I'm now in the setting position, so it should be intuitive, setting the day of the week on the indicator at 9 o'clock and also setting the time. But the truth is it's complicated. It's not immediately apparent how to do it by pressing the adjust button, and also when you put it into the mode for time setting, so that's world time, and if I move it again, I'm now on stopwatch, right, I'm now on the time setting position, alarm, and now in the time setting. So if I press adjust, it should be apparent how to set the time. The minute hand and the day of the week are moving, but it's not intuitive, it's not moving as one would expect. So this is the problem with it. Some things are intuitive. For example, when you press the LED backlight and hold it, it activates the LED backlight as one would expect, and I'll test that in the Loom test. The mode does work as you'd expect. When you press the mode, you can see on the LCD display, it goes through to the different modes, and you can set the time. I'm now in the time setting position for the LCD screen, for example, and it flashes, so you can tell what you're setting, so that works well. And you can turn the world time on and off, which is good, and you can alternate between 12 and 24 hours. So all that seems intuitive. But when you are in the adjust for the time, it's not immediately apparent what you're setting. And I think that they could improve upon this. I believe that less is more. When it comes to complications on analog digital watches, the minimum number of complications is better because the less complicated it is, the simpler it is by definition. So for example, the DW5600 series are intuitive. You don't need an owner's instruction manual, you don't need to watch YouTube videos. You can press the pushers and you immediately set the date, the time, the stopwatch, all the complications, the alarm. Everything about it is user friendly. The stopwatch, the alarm, the date, the time. That's the way it should be. G-Shock have really lost that because they've added too many additional complications such as a world time and a perpetual calendar. You do not need to have that on a G-Shock. Right, so let's do a Loom test and we'll see how the Loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. We'll also test the LED backlight. So this uses a double LED backlight, which is supposed to be better performance than a single LED as per Casio digital watches, which is good. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and here you can see the disappointment. Casio have missed an opportunity here with its CasiOak. They have block applied indices on the dial. They would be perfect for applying blocks of C3 or BGW9 superluminova, but they haven't. They've simply painted the blocks of plastic grey paints to match the dial, to match the hands. Now, as you can see, this is the problem with Neo Brights. It's Casio's proprietary name for luminova. It's not superluminova. So I'm just going to charge it again because it dims so quickly to nothing that the autofocus on the camera struggles to focus on it, and that indicates the potency of the exciter is very poor performing. So you can see initially there's a good burst of emission from the potent exciter in the Neo Brights, but then it quickly begins to fade to nothing. So legibility is good in terms of you can quickly orientate, you can differentiate between the shorter hour hand and the longer minute hand, but it's not C3 superluminova. This is clearly C3 luminova, which Casio call Neo Brights. Performance is very poor, and one can't be magnanimous about this because it's an expensive piece. We're not looking at a below €50 Casio watch here. This is an expensive Casio, so they really need to upgrade to using C3 or BGW9 superluminova, which are the industry standards, and use 5 to 6 layers, because we're only looking at 2 to 3 layers or a maximum of 3 to 4 layers of Neo Bright on the analog hands. And this is the problem. The exciter immediately fades to nothing because that's what you get with 2 to 3 layers or 3 to 4 layers of luminova. Luminova was succeeded by superluminova in the early 2000s, and in 2025 now the industry standard is BGW9 and C3 superluminova, which you'll all be familiar with. So as you can see, they could really improve this if they added blocks of C3 superluminova to the dial for the indices rather than just using grey painted indices, because if you look in daylight conditions, the grey painted blocks indices, they're very legible. So symmetry is good. The 3D effect of the applied indices is good. The blocks of plastic or resin on the dial, they have a nice 3D effect. So I like the symmetry of it and also like the proportions. Can you imagine if these grey blocks, these indices, were solid blocks of C3 or BGW9 and the hands were fully loomed with 5 to 6 layers of BGW9? It would be stellar performance. And really, at €85, that is what this G-Shock lacks. And Casio have missed an opportunity. So in daylight, the legibility is good. One can clearly read the time. The analog hands are correctly proportioned. The minute and hour hand are large. And the block indices are large. The grey looks good. In the dark, they really should be blocks of C3 superluminova or BGW9. So legibility is poor in the dark. It's negligible. In daylight, it's very good. That's something to bear in mind. It's the main negative of this piece. Right, so let's look at the case back in detail. So as I've described, this is 200 meters water resistant, and it's fully engraved with this specification. It also says Casio core guard because the case is made from carbon fibre and resin mixed. Full reference number for the piece, water resistant 20 bar, which is 200 meters, and it's a solid stainless steel case back. Longitudinal brush satin finishing is good. No sharp edges. They've deburred and chamfered it very well, and the screws, which are flathead screws, are nice and smooth. They don't feel sharp, so they're slotted screws, and they also have posi drive crosses in them as well, so they're easy to undo. So in order to exchange the battery, it's very easy. You undo the 4 screws, remove the case back, and you can change the battery, which is very good. So it is user friendly. The case back is low profile, and as I've detailed, it's very good because it's not a bubble back case back, so this piece sits very snug to the wrist. It is only 11.7 millimeters thick, even though it's 200 meters, which is very impressive because it does have a very thick bezel to protect the mineral crystal. So I like the case back, feels smooth, feels comfortable against the wrist. The underside to the head of the piece, both the carbon core guard case and also the bezel itself, are deburred and chamfered very well. No sharp edges to the undercuts to the flanks. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I'm pleased to report there is enough length on this resin strap to engage it fully with the sliding keeper. So this will fit from a minimum 6-inch wrist up to a maximum 8-inch wrist. Plenty of adjustment, plenty of holes, Minimum 6-inch up to maximum 8-inch, as you can see. So this is good. This G-Shock CasiOak is suitable for collectors with a larger wrist of 8 inches plus, which is good, and it's what you would expect with a large 45.3mm head of the piece. So visually, feel good factor is very good. It's a great looking piece. I like the octagonal bezel as per the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, hence the nickname CasiOak. Legibility is good. Straight on, without AR coating, you can read the time very well. The legibility is good of the analog hands and the indices. The negative display on the LCD display, legibility is poor, as one would expect. Day complication at 9 o'clock is clearly legible, so that's good. I like the proportions of the bezel, and the bezel does a good job of protecting the mineral crystal because the bezel is slightly taller than the flat mineral crystal, so it does provide some protection from scuffs and scratches, which is good. But they really should be using sapphire crystal, which is more hard and scratch resistant. An AR coating would improve the legibility because, as you can see, when I tilt it at an oblique angle, it's like a mirror. So legibility is poor due to the lack of AR coating. The thing I like about it above all else is the lack of heft. It's only 52 grams, incredibly lightweight piece, feels invisible on wrist. So head of the piece feels good, feels balanced, doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't feel top heavy, and I like it's only 11.7. Anything below 13mm is the sweet spot, you'll know that from my previous reviews, so this will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff despite being large at 45.3. It's best suited to collectors with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches due to its wrist domination because it's 45.3. It's a large piece. Compact lug to lug measurement 48.2, and I say compact because it's a large 45.3 head of the piece. 48mm is the sweet spot. That is the perfect lug to lug measurement. Again, you'll know that from my previous reviews because 48mm lug to lug will fit you regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. So 48.2 is just a fraction above the sweet spot, just 0.2mm too long. This gives a good fit regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 or a 7 to 8 inch wrist. Curves around the wrist very well, doesn't sit on top of it like a slab or block of resin or carbon fibre and resin. So I like it. Comfort level is good. But when I say comfort level is good, I'm referring to the head of the piece. I can't say the feel good factor and the comfort level is excellent because of this resin strap, which is dreadful because it's stiff. It just doesn't flex like a silicone rubber, FKM fluoro rubber or nitrile butadiene rubber strap respectively. This does not feel as soft and supple as a rubber strap. If Casio used an FKM rubber strap on this piece, it would have excellent feel good factor and excellent comfort level. The resin strap really does feel like the resin strap on a Casio F91W, which is one of their least expensive digital watches. One cannot be magnanimous about this kind of poor quality resin strap at €85. On an F91W, which costs €15, yes, one can say a resin strap like this is acceptable, but not at €85. They need to upgrade this to an FKM rubber strap. And this is often a reason why so many Casio fanboys, they fit strap adapters or lug adapters to it, and then they can fit 22mm straps because that further enhances the piece. For example, they use a steel lug adapter, and then they can use a 22mm silicone rubber strap, and that will enhance it. But this resin strap really does spoil the piece. Visually, aesthetically, the feel good factor is excellent. The head of the piece has comfort level, feels balanced, the fit is good. The resin strap really diminishes it because it's just stiff, doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't flex. And it just feels like a stiff strap. Now, the underside, of course, is textured due to the teeth. And again, that means that it's not comfortable. But the taper is aggressive, it's good. The proportions are good. 25.6 aggressively tapering down to 18.6 is correct. Nice large buckle and tang, which is good. So head of the piece is excellent. Resin strap is dreadful. That's the reality of it. But good looking piece. I like the orthogonal shape of the bezel as per the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, hence the name CasiOak. So in daylight, the legibility is good. In terms of the analog hands, the legibility of the LCD negative screen is dreadful, but it looks good. So feel good factor is good, comfort level is good for the head of the piece, but not for the strap, and really you have to separate the two. You have to evaluate this piece and say it's an excellent head of the piece on a poor quality resin strap. That's the reality of it. So let's discuss the module used. So this is powered by the Casio module number 5611, which is an analog digital module, and it's made in Japan and cased in China. So it's been in service since 2019, which was when the CasiOak was released, or the GA-2100 series of G-Shock. So analog digital, has a double LED backlight. Actually, that's something I didn't show you in the Loom test. So I'm going to repeat that and show it to you, because it would be a shame if I didn't. So if you press the top right pusher, which on the bezel it says light, that is the double LED backlight. Now, Casio digital watches usually have a single LED, and therefore the performance is poor. But this has a double LED, so two LEDs rather than one, and therefore it gives better performance. Now, the negative is, you've got to really push in the pusher hard, but it's reliable and robust. But the thing is, when you push it in and hold it, it's on a timer. So the backlight still goes out quickly, and it only lasts for a couple of seconds. So you've got to keep pressing it in order to keep the double LED backlight illuminated. For example, you can't press in the pusher and hold it constantly to keep the backlight on constantly. You have to keep pressing it and pressing it again and pressing it again. I think they could improve the functionality of it if they made it so that when you press in the pusher and hold it, it holds on the backlight constantly until you release. But as it stands, you have to press it and it's on a timer, and after a couple of seconds it switches off. Now, on a positive note, it does illuminate the negative LCD display, which in daylight is very difficult to read, but in the dark you can read it quite clearly because the digital numerals glow in white on the black negative LCD display. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. So it works well. The double LEDs work well. It's just a shame when you hold in the pusher, it doesn't hold on the light. It still goes out on the timer, but it works good. And two LEDs are definitely better than one. So with regards to the module number 5611, it has the following complications: stopwatch, alarm, perpetual calendar, world time, countdown timer, and of course at the 9 o'clock position we've got the day of the week display. So works very well. It's reliable and well proven. It's been in service since 2019, so at this stage in 2025 its reliability is proven. In terms of analog digital movements, it's good. The battery life is 3 years, and a 3-year battery life for an analog digital movement is very good. I like the reliability of it and I like the accuracy of it. So the only negative to it, as I've detailed, is it's overcomplicated. Casio have added too many complications to it. That's the negative of the module number 5611. It's got too many menus to set, and the menus are too complicated. You shouldn't need to read an owner's instruction manual, and you shouldn't need to watch YouTube videos to work out how to set a module number 5611. It should be intuitive. With the Casio DW5600 series, that was a benefit. The watch was intuitive. The module was very simple to set. You could operate the alarm, the date, the time, the stopwatch, all the complications intuitively. You didn't need to watch a YouTube video or read an owner's instruction manual. I think this has two additional complications that are unnecessary: perpetual calendar and world time, because as I've detailed, the majority of Casio fanboys that purchase a CasiOak are never going to use the perpetual calendar or the world time. If they deleted those two complications, that would simplify the menus and therefore simplify the setting of the time, the date and the alarm. That would make it intuitive. Less is more when it comes to complications. The simpler a watch is, the less complications, the better. This does need a stopwatch, it does need an alarm, it does need a countdown timer. They're beneficial, but the reality is the perpetual calendar and the world time are negligible. When you're changing country, it's very easy to set the time on a digital watch. You change the time to the new time of the country. You don't need a world timer, and you don't need to have a perpetual calendar for the dates. It's negligible. So really, I think they need to simplify the menus, simplify the setting, make it more intuitive, and simply make the module more simple to use, more user-friendly. But reliability is good, 3-year battery life is good, everything works well, but it's complicated to set. That's the thing to bear in mind. So last, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So this piece is available on amazon.co.uk for £72 which is €85. I'm going to declare it OK quality, and I'm going to declare the value as poor. This does have too many cost-cutting measures, right down to the packaging, which is cardboard. It no longer comes in a metal G-Shock tin. Too many cost-cutting measures, but the watch itself The main concerning cost-cutting measure is mineral crystal with no AR coating. This is not as hard and scratch resistant as sapphire crystal, and you can see no AR coating means it's a mirror. It's highly reflective, lot of glare on it. At €85, this needs to have sapphire crystal with AR coating. The other main negative, which downgrades it from excellent quality and excellent value, is the Neo Bright, which is the Casio proprietary name for Luminova. 2 to 3 layers, or a maximum of 3 to 4 on the analog hands. We've got no Neo Bright on the block indices whatsoever. Casio have missed an opportunity. Had they used blocks of C3 or BGW9 Superluminova, that would make this stellar performance, but they've missed that opportunity. At €85, one cannot be magnanimous. We're not looking at a below €50 Casio analog digital watch here. The G-Shock is meant to be premium. It's one of their best pieces. So, too many cost-cutting measures. Therefore, I would say quality is okay, value is poor. The truth is, there are better alternatives to this piece at €85. Yes, it is impressive that it is 200 meters. That is good. And yes, it is impressive that it uses a carbon fiber and resin case, which is shock resistant. That is good. But the reality is, it's not comfortable. It has this poor quality resin strap, and really the quality of the resin strap is the same as on a Casio F91W, which is a €15 piece. That's the reality of it. One cannot be magnanimous about a resin strap like that on an €85 G-Shock. So I would like to see the following upgrades. The Loom upgraded and added to the dial, BGW9 or C3 Superluminova, and also on the hands, 5 to 6 layers, sapphire crystal with AR coating, and upgrade the resin strap to FKM fluoro rubber. At €85, then yes, it would be excellent quality and excellent value. It would be a champagne watch for lemonade money. But as it stands, I'm going to say okay quality and poor value. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Casio G-Shock GA-2100-1AER CasiOak. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.